All right, ready to dive deep. Today, it's all about you, and how we understand success. We're going to explore Outliers, that awesome book by Malcolm Gladwell that, kind of flips the script on how we think about achieving great things.
It really challenges those like rags to riches stories, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Gladwell goes way deeper. He shows how hidden advantages, and opportunities, even cultural stuff like legacies, they play a way bigger role than we realize.
So we're not getting any secret formulas here, huh?
Nope.
No get-rich-quick schemes.
No, this is about the stuff we overlook, the stuff that leads to wild success.
It's like mapping uncharted territory, right?
Exactly.
We're explorers.
Yeah, it's like we're ecologists. Studying why like certain trees grow taller. It's not just about the seed, is it?
No way.
It's the soil, the sunlight, the whole ecosystem. Gladwell helps us see success that way, like this complex interplay of stuff.
I love that. The tree analogy really sets the scene for what we're about to unpack. And speaking of unpacking, one of the first big ideas Gladwell throws at us is the Matthew effect.
Ah, yes. The Matthew effect. So interesting. It highlights how small early advantages, they can snowball into big, long-lasting benefits, like a head start in a race that just compounds over time.
Okay, I'm with you, but give me a real-world example here. Help me out.
Okay, how about this? Gladwell found that a wild number of like elite Canadian hockey players are born in the first few months of the year. January, February, March. Those guys are overrepresented in the pros.
No way, really. Is it some Canadian winter magic or something?
No, it's about cutoff dates.
Yeah.
For youth hockey leagues, usually it's January 1st, so those born earlier in the year are older, even if it's just a little bit. And physically more developed when they start out.
It's like a few months can really make a difference at that age, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But how does that tiny advantage lead to a pro hockey career?
Well, think about it. The slightly older kids, maybe they're a bit bigger, bit faster. So they're picked for all-star teams. They get more coaching, better competition, and that advantage just keeps multiplying year after year.
So it's not just raw talent. It's this hidden advantage that can be tough to beat. Makes you wonder, are we missing out on talent in other areas because of these kind of arbitrary cutoff dates?
It's a good question, and it's bigger than hockey. Gladwell talks about how similar patterns show up in education, too. Kids born earlier in the year tend to do better. They're more likely to be in gifted programs, score higher on tests, even have an edge in, like, college admissions.
Wow, it's like a domino effect, one small advantage leading to the next. Even with the best intentions, these systems can create biases we don't even realize are there.
Exactly, and that's the point, right? Gladwell wants us to be aware of them. He's not saying those born later can't succeed, but we need to see those biases to understand that success isn't a simple equation.
Yeah, I like that. Being aware is how we make things more fair. And speaking of playing fields, our next stop takes us to the world of deliberate practice and Gladwell's famous 10,000-hour rule.
Oh, yeah, the 10,000-hour rule. Everyone's heard of that, haven't they? Gladwell's argument is to master anything, you got to put in at least 10,000 hours of focused practice. I mean, really dedicated.
His examples are incredible. Like the Beatles, before the stadiums, they spent years playing those marathon gigs in Hamburg, right?
Right, night after night, those smoky clubs, they played for hours, honing their skills, finding their sound, building stamina. It was their training ground.
It's like, who knew Hamburg was the secret to Beatlemania? And he talks about Bill Gates, too, right?
Yeah.
Who, as a teen, had unlimited access to a computer, like back in the late 60s.
Back when computers were rare and expensive. So that was an insane opportunity. He got to rack up thousands of hours of programming experience way before most people even knew what a computer was.
Talk about right place, right time. It makes me wonder, though, does everyone need to find their Hamburg? Their own chance for that intense practice to be successful?
It doesn't have to be a specific place. It's about deliberate practice. You've got to find the things in your field that push you, the stuff that takes you out of your comfort zone, helps you grow.
So maybe it's not about gigs or coding all night. It's about finding ways to really immerse ourselves in the work that matters. To us, I mean, and find those chances for that deep, focused practice.
Absolutely. It's asking ourselves, what are the Hamburg moments in my field and what kind of practice makes a difference? Being proactive,
Yeah.
and using those chances when they pop up.
Yeah, I love that challenge. It's a reminder that talent's important, but it's not everything. We need dedication. We need the right chances. And we got to embrace those moments of intense practice that push us.
And those chances, they're often hidden in plain sight. We just got to be ready to see them and grab them.
Okay, so we've got the Matthew effect, the 10,000-hour rule. But now, get this, Gladwell throws us a curveball. He challenges this idea that raw intelligence, like from IQ tests,
Mhm.
is the only key to success.
Right, he brings up practical intelligence, which is like navigating social situations well, understanding people, reading a room, getting what you want.
So it's not just book smarts, it's street smarts,
Yeah.
social skills, that whole thing.
Yeah, and he uses these contrasting examples. Chris Langan, with a crazy high IQ, who struggled to reach his goals. And then you've got Robert Oppenheimer, brilliant physicist,
Uh,
led the Manhattan Project, but had some major flaws.
it's wild, right? It really makes you think twice about what it takes to succeed. So are you saying IQ doesn't matter?
No, not at all. It matters.
Yeah.
But Gladwell says there's a threshold. You need a certain level to do well, sure, but beyond a certain point, other things become way more important. It's like height in basketball.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
You got to be tall enough to play, obviously.
Hmm.
But after a certain height, it's about agility, shooting, teamwork, all that.
That's a great analogy. So intelligence is important, but it's not the whole story. There's a point where it's about how you use it, how you handle yourself in the world, how you connect with people.
Exactly. Success is complicated. It's a mix of skills, opportunities, and being able to use your strengths in the right context. No.
And to think, we're just getting started here. But before we go further, let's take a quick pause. And then we'll be back to explore more of Gladwell's brilliance in our deep dive into Outliers. Okay, we're back and ready to go deeper with Outliers. We've been talking about individual advantages, but now Gladwell kind of shifts gears, takes us to this fascinating idea of how our cultural background shapes our path to success.
Yeah, this is where it gets really cool. He argues that our cultural legacies, like the traditions and values, even historical stuff from our ancestors, it can have a huge impact on our opportunities and even how we think.
That's like an invisible hand, right? Guiding us, shaping how we see things and how we act, without us even knowing.
Exactly. And to show this, he brings up a surprising connection. The link between rice paddies and high achievement in math in East Asian cultures.
Wait, rice paddies? How does farming have anything to do with math skills?
Right. Sounds crazy, but Gladwell makes a good point. He says rice cultivation is super complex and demanding. It's not just planting and waiting.
Right.
It takes planning, understanding irrigation, timing everything perfectly, monitoring water levels, constant problem solving, for pests and weather.
So it's like one big math problem that rice farmers have to solve every day to make sure the harvest is good.
Exactly. And all that mental work, plus their cultural emphasis on hard work and not giving up, it's cultivated a mindset that works well in math, according to Gladwell.
I never thought we'd be talking about rice paddies on a show about success, but it makes you think maybe our backgrounds, even stuff that seems totally unrelated, are shaping our strengths in ways we don't realize.
Yeah, it challenges that idea that you're either born good at math or you're not. Gladwell's saying it's also about what your culture values and the things people have done for generations.
Like rice paddy farmers have been training their brains for math for centuries without even knowing it.
It's a really interesting idea. And he goes even further. He looks at how language can shape how we think, too. Like number systems in East Asian languages are super efficient and logical, which makes them easier to learn.
So the way we learn numbers as kids can actually give us an advantage in math.
That's what Gladwell's suggesting, yeah. These little linguistic advantages might help explain why Asian kids often do well in math early on.
It's crazy to think that something as basic as language can have that much impact on learning.
It comes back to that idea that our cultural background is shaping us, even if we're not aware of it.
This is making me rethink everything about talent and success. It's not just about how hard you work, it's all these cultural influences, stuff we don't even see.
And it's not about saying one culture's better, it's about recognizing that different cultures have different strengths, different ways of solving problems, based on their history and what they've gone through.
It's about appreciating how different everyone's experience is, and how those experiences lead us to success in different ways.
Right. And to tie all this together, Gladwell talks about a real-world example, KIPP Academy.
Oh yeah, that charter school in the Bronx, right. That's doing amazing work to close the achievement gap. They use what Gladwell calls a rice paddy approach, extending the school day and year to give kids way more time to learn.
And it's not just more hours. They're building a culture of high expectations, hard work, and the belief that every student can succeed, no matter their background.
They're basically challenging the normal American education system, which Gladwell says often makes inequality worse even if it doesn't mean to.
He's really critical of those long summer breaks. They might seem like a good thing, but they can actually cause kids to forget stuff they learned, especially for kids who don't have like enrichment programs or other chances to learn during the summer.
Yeah, so while middle-class kids are at camp or on vacation, less privileged kids are falling behind, which makes that achievement gap even bigger.
Exactly. Key IPP Academy is tackling that problem head on. They give kids a more consistent learning experience, making sure they're engaged and getting support all year.
And they're getting incredible results. Their students are doing better than those in regular public schools, showing that high expectations, a good environment, and just more time to learn can really make a difference.
It shows what can happen when you create a place that helps talent grow and gives kids the chances they need to be successful.
This deep dive into outliers has been pretty amazing. We've looked at hidden advantages, cultural legacies, the limits of intelligence, and even how rice paddies relate to math.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. We've questioned our ideas about what it takes to succeed and gotten a better understanding of all the things that contribute to those big achievements.
And through it all, Gladwell reminds us that nobody really does it alone. Success is a team effort across generations and communities. It's about what we get from those who came before us and the chances we make for those who come after.
Right. And that's what makes Outliers so good. It challenges our ideas about success, helps us see things differently, and encourages us to think about how to make a fairer world where everyone has a chance to reach their full potential.
So well said. Let's take another quick break, and then we'll come back for the last part of our deep dive, where we'll see how these ideas connect to Gladwell's own personal journey. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into outliers, and this is where it gets personal. Gladwell takes us on this journey through his own family, tracing the roots of his success, like way back.
It shows us, none of us are really self-made. Our success is tied to those who came before us, the stuff they left behind, the chances they created.
Yeah, and Gladwell's own story proves that. He takes us to Jamaica, where his grandmother, Daisy Nation, grew up. She was, like, a woman of incredible strength, and determination.
Her family's history is complicated, full of hardship, colonialism and slavery. But in all that, there was this unique thing happening that really shaped Gladwell's path to success.
This is where it gets interesting. Gladwell's grandmother, her family came from a slave woman and a white plantation owner. It's a story that shows how brutal slavery was, but there's this twist of fate, too.
Yeah, the English elite in Jamaica were different. Unlike other places, they didn't really want to stay there forever. They just wanted to make money and go back to England.
So they didn't care as much about, like, setting up a strict social order,
Mm.
which left this kind of power vacuum.
Right, and that vacuum got filled by the colored class,
Yeah.
Gladwell's grandmother's family. They faced discrimination, but they could get an education and opportunities that other people couldn't. They became teachers, doctors, lawyers, leaders in the community.
So Gladwell's family benefited, in a way, from this unusual situation. It was like an accidental result of colonialism.
Exactly. And his grandmother, Daisy Nation, she knew education was important. She made sure her daughters went to a good school, setting them up for success that eventually led to Gladwell himself.
It's powerful, right? It shows success isn't just about what we do. It's about history, cultural stuff, and even luck.
And it brings us back to that main idea of outliers. Success is rarely a one-person show. It's about seeing those unseen forces that shape our lives, the chances we get, the things we inherit.
It's about recognizing that what we achieve is often built on what others did before us. And our job is to create those same chances for others.
And that's what makes Outliers such a great book. It makes us rethink what we know about success, helps us see the world in a new way, and inspires us to think about how to make things fair so everyone has a chance.
Well said. This deep dive has been quite a journey, full of insights and connections I didn't see coming. We've gone from the Matthew effect and the 10,000-hour rule to cultural legacies and even rice paddies and math.
It's been fascinating exploring all these things that contribute to big achievements. It reminds us that success is more than a simple formula. It's like a tapestry of influences.
And through it all, Gladwell keeps reminding us that we can make a difference. By understanding these hidden advantages, these legacies and opportunities, we can work towards a world where success is more about opportunity than luck, where potential gets nurtured, and everyone has a shot at thriving.
Yeah. So as you go forward, think about what we've talked about today. What are those hidden things that have shaped you? What chances have you had? And how can you create them for others? How can you use your own cultural background to empower yourself and those around you?
Those are some powerful questions to think about. And if you haven't already, definitely check out Outliers. It's brilliant. It'll make you think differently, I promise.
And as we wrap up, remember, each of us can make a difference. By seeing the forces that shape us, we can build a better world. One where success is about opportunity, not just luck. Where potential is nurtured and everyone has a chance to truly thrive.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Outliers. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time to explore more fascinating ideas.